everybody, and welcome back to Insights with Nandu. We took a break of a few weeks because of COVID-related concerns amongst our team, but now everybody's back, everybody's well, and we're good to go again. So thank you for having patience with us. And as you come back, do remember to subscribe, click the like button, and share the videos that you like widely with your friends and colleagues. Today we're going to talk about a very interesting question that the late Professor Clayton Christensen used to ask his students at Harvard Business School in the final class that he conducted with them. And his question was, how will you measure your life? And broken down into it, there were a couple of other questions coming out from there. The first question that came out from there was, how will you stay out of jail? Next question, how will you stay humble? Now, let me explain the context to these questions. How you measure your life, it's very personal, and many of us have different ways we measure success in our lives, by material possessions or wealth or travel or experiences or family or relationships, or indeed by what you do and how you find meaning and purpose in your lives. So in this context, given the fact that we are all unique and individual, Professor Christensen noted that even for Harvard Business School, there was a small percentage, less than 2%, but non-zero percentage of people, Harvard alumni, who over the course of their careers actually went to jail for doing something that was wrong, illegal, and violated some of societal norms that we are so conversant with. How did this happen? Why did it happen? These are very important questions, and maybe subject for a future video where I talk about how to safeguard and be aware of our own ethical biases and values and use them to guide our behavior. But it's a question I invite you to reflect on, because none of us is immune. And the sooner we can see that we are making choices that may be taking us down a path that we may regret later, the sooner you stop, the better it is. But be very aware. That's the first question of how will you make sure you don't go to jail? The second part, how will you stay humble? Now, what does humility have to do with this kind of a context and a question? You see, what he says is most of us throughout our life, from the time we were children, then going to school or university or even in organizations, we are always in a position where we are learning from somebody who in some respects hierarchically or age-wise is senior to us and or expertise-wise, and we are imbibing something from someone else. When you get to be the boss, how are you going to continue to learn when you are the senior-most person in the room? And this is more common as a problem than you realize. I have come across dozens of CEOs and organizational heads who basically say, listen, I've made it, I reached this far, so whatever I'm doing is obviously working. Why do I need to go for training? Why do I need to learn anything? And often that attitude kind of presages a fall. Because, indeed we live in dramatically disruptive times today. This very concept of sharing information or knowledge through a video and then inviting discussion, this was not possible even 15 years ago. So technology is leading to dramatic changes in every facet of our lives. And what this means is that no matter if you're a leader, in fact, especially if you are a leader, you need to be constantly learning about the world out there, about the changes that are in fact coming at you that may affect your organization's chances of survival, that may affect your own chances as an individual of surviving with a successful career and guiding your organization. So in this context, what I would like to ask you to do is make it a habit of constantly learning. So more than 2,000 years ago, Socrates said something along the lines of, great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, and lesser minds discuss people. And yet, in most of our social interactions, many of us love to talk about people. Gossiping is fun, isn't it? So what I'd invite you to do is to make a conscious effort. Doesn't matter where you are in your career, doesn't matter where you are in the hierarchy. Make a conscious effort to set aside half an hour every day to engage in the world of ideas and learn something new. Something new that you learn maybe by reading a book, maybe by watching a YouTube video like this one or a TED Talk, maybe by watching Discovery Channel, maybe by discussing with people some new concepts that you heard about and trying to investigate those concepts. But make time consciously, half an hour every day, not asking for a lot, to engage in the world of ideas. For most of us in our working lives, what tends to happen is that the urgent overtakes the important. What I'm telling you or asking you to do is important. Now, it is quite possible that there will be a phone call, there'll be an email, there'll be a message, there'll be an urgent issue that needs to be tackled right then, which will interfere with your ability to actually focus on this important facet of engaging with the world of ideas and making yourself future ready and being a constant learner. But make the time for it. It takes discipline. It's worth it, because then when you build that learning agility in yourself and become a constant learner, not only are you prepared as an individual for this new emerging disruptive reality, but you are able to help lead your organization to not only survive the reality, but to come out stronger with the agility that you need to embrace the disruption and survive better than any of your competitors can. So, two very important questions. And finally, I go back to the opening question that we started with. How will you measure your life? One of the exercises we often ask our students to do in business school is to try to write the story of your life. It sounds a little macabre if I say obituary, but write the story of your life from the perspective of your last day on earth in this life. And from that perspective, look back on your life and try to write that story in one page, no more. So write that down, then fold it up and put it away. Bring it out a few weeks later, look at it and say, does it still make sense? Does it need changing? If it needs changing, change it. Then fold it up, put it away. Bring it out 6 months later and say, listen, is the story still relevant on the basis of what I have learned over the last 6 months? And if it is still relevant, then ask yourself the second question. What the story I'm actually living or actually writing, is it the story that I have written over here? If yes, you're in a great position. If no, then you have a choice. Either you change the story you have written, that you have imagined yourself, imagined your life to be, or you change something in what you do, how you do, where you do, etc. So, in a sense, this takes from Stephen Covey's teachings, where he says start with the end in mind. So try to kind of live your life consciously aware of your legacy, of the story that your life is telling, the story that your life is writing. And maybe that will help you answer this question of how will you measure your life. So thank you for listening. I hope you found this video useful, and do comment, do like, do subscribe, and do share with all your friends. Thank you, and see you soon.